If you have been feeling like your sales are not quite where you want them to be, you're gonna really relate to today's caller. In today's sales doc video, we are answering the question, what is the most important part of the sales process so that you can know how to get your sales on track and where to really focus in order to create the most impact, because we want your sales to be sick, but the good kind.
Hi, my name is Tammy from Georgia. I'm having trouble implementing a really good sales process for our team. We have a lot of really good employees, but we really do need to improve our process. So if there was one piece of advice or some advice you could give us.
Hey Tammy, first of all, thank you so much for calling in, and go Georgia. I live in Georgia as well. It's going to be the sales call itself. So when we look at the sales process, there's multiple parts to the sales process. But honestly, if you can get the sales call dialed in and you know that you can close, it's going to give you a strong foundation for building all of the other pieces. And I want to talk a little bit about the mindset of it too, because some people think that if I can just get more sales calls, that will fix everything. So they want just volume of call. But the problem is there's this psychological limitation, like this mindset issue, where if you know that you're not confident when you're on the call, you actually start to self-sabotage when it comes time to scheduling the calls. And we've all done this. But it's like, it's time to sit down and make calls, and all of a sudden you have an urgent vacuuming need that comes up. So when you know that when I get on the sales call, it's fun, the clients appreciate it, we give great information, great value, I close, then you will have energy behind those sales calls, which will draw you into wanting to schedule more of them, which will make it easier to do the follow-up. So I feel like if you can nail this part, everything else is going to get better and easier. Let's kind of talk through in today's call. Let's talk through the sales call and some of the common mistakes that I see people make and what you can do at each step in the sales call in order to make it work really well. At the end, I'm also going to share with you like my magic words. I do have some phrases that I just feel like they work like magic, and when I use them, oh my gosh, it's like the whole call just shifts and it becomes so much easier to get that deal closed. One thing that I am going to tell you that I think you're going to want to do is go to get my book, the I'm Not a Salesperson sales book, Sell Like a Natural Even If You're Not, because we dedicate a lot of time to the sales conversation, the mindset of it, the skill set of it, how many you need to do, but also specifically the wording. And there's also script templates in there for your closing script. So go to the link down below and go grab the I'm Not a Salesperson sales book so that you'll have that resource, because we're going to go through it. I'm going to point out some important parts, but it's like telling you the important parts to parenting. Like there's just a lot more to it, and you really need to master the whole thing. Very first thing that I want you to do is I want you to take charge of the call early on. If they take over the call and they're just like going every which way and trying to pull you into free consulting or free coaching, or just, like you can tell they're just info grabbing, and you're sitting there feeling like this just feels off. I feel like they're kind of using me. You missed this beginning of the call. So the beginning of the call is really important. This is where you set container, you set expectations, and you take charge of the call. So I'll go through the wording with you, and then again, refer to the scripting in the I'm Not a Salesperson sales book. It's in the appendix, but refer to this. It's going to look really familiar. So I started off and I say, I'm so looking forward to our conversation today. I always like to start off by finding out what you're most hoping to get out of this call. What's your top priority? And then they'll tell me what their top priority is, and I say, that's great, we'll make sure that we cover it, but I don't jump into it right then. And then I say, and I have 3 priorities for this call. The first is that I'm going to ask a lot of questions and try to understand what your goals are, where you're at in your business, what you want. And then second, based on what I'm hearing, I'll give you my recommendations and we'll map out the strategy. And then third, if it sounds like I could be a good fit for you, I'm happy to share with you how we work with our clients and how my mastermind works. And then I ask for agreement and I say, does that sound good? And they say yes. getting agreements along the way, little agreements along the way, makes it easier for them to say yes and give you the agreement at the end. So that does a couple things for me. It sets the context for the call. It also gives me an excuse later if they start going off, like their conversation's going all over the place. I can steer them back in and I can say, okay, I feel like I've heard a lot of, what is going on, and I want to make sure that we can transition into the strategy. So if it's all right with you, let's move forward because I think I'm good. Now, after you kind of set the intention, you begin the process of needs analysis. And during needs analysis, there's different levels of needs analysis. But where it has to ultimately get to is you've got to get to the emotion behind the problem, because people buy solutions to painful problems. Write that down. People buy solutions to painful problems. We actually make decisions based on how we feel about something. Even those of you who are like, no, Amy, I make logical decisions. I make all my decisions from logic. I'm a very logical thinker as well, but when it comes down to it, if I'm being gut level honest, I'm still making decisions based on how I feel about the logical evidence that I have gathered, right? Like that's where we make the strongest decisions, is where we have the strongest conviction, the strongest commitment. And I want committed clients, not just like a quick yes that's going to back out 2 days later. Like I want a real yes. So part of the structure of the sales script that you're going to see when you go download the free version of the sales book is that we go through different layers of needs analysis. The reason is because we don't want to go for the emotion right off of the bat. It will feel like an attack. It will feel like I don't know you well enough. It will feel like I don't trust you enough. Like you don't have enough rapport in the very beginning to really go after it. And I've seen salespeople do this, and it's very off-putting. Each layer of the conversation, you're creating more rapport and trust. So then they're willing to go deeper with you. And when you actually get to the emotion, that's when everybody has clarity. One of my clients said, when you have little kids and you're like wrestling around on the floor and somebody steps on your hair, your natural response is to pull away, but like that really hurts. If you'll just like lean into it, they'll get off your hair and it doesn't have to hurt. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so true. So when they have pain, their natural response is to want to pull away from it. But when you can get them to go through this gentle process with you and just kind of lean into it, then it's not as traumatic for you to find the pain behind the problem that they're experiencing. It's like you'll see it, you'll recognize it, and they'll be like, okay, I see it. Now I just need to do something about it. And until you get to the emotion, they're not really ready to commit to doing anything about it. I have to say this side note because this is a very non-scientific, but I have literally done thousands of sales calls and helped hundreds of clients complete thousands of sales calls. Like, we're in the business of sales calls. I know this really, really well. I would say about 85% of people purchase from pain. And about 15% of people purchase from pleasure. Like, they make all their decisions not based on pain. They almost don't want to look at pain. It's like you try to find what the emotion is behind the problem, and there's nothing negative there. Okay, it doesn't mean there's not emotion behind the problem. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to focus on the possibility and the things that they want and the gap between where they are and where they want to be, and align yourself with being on their team with their goals. And you'll be able to close that a lot better. I know that's a little bit of an advanced strategy, but at some point you'll meet one of those people where you're like, they seem to have no pain in their entire life. And they're just not wired that way. They're wired to purchase from pleasure. The next one is one of my favorites. I told you I was going to share with you some of my like magic words. We're into the magic words. This is an exciting place because they work so incredibly well. I want you to get them to commit to change before you talk to them about your service. Because if they are not committed to change, and they're not committed to doing anything about their problem, then you are going to literally waste your time and breath and energy and emotions by trying to sell them something that they are not committed to doing anything about. So here's my magic words. After we've gone through all the information, I will say, so what is it costing you right now to, and then I restate the problem. What's that costing you? And they'll tell me the cost, and I'll say, and what would it be worth to you if you could change that? And then they'll tell me what it would be worth to them. And then I say, magic words, Well, it sounds like you've got a lot of reasons why you need to do this. Are you committed? So simple and yet so incredibly good, because it makes them think and it makes them choose into commitment or choose out. If they're not committed, I say, well, I totally respect that. It doesn't sound like we're going to be a good fit for each other, but I wish you all the best. And when you are committed to making that change, I would love to be a part of your journey. And sometimes they'll be like, but I didn't even know what you do. And I'm like, I know, but it's a lot of work to work with me, and we get a lot accomplished in a short period of time, but we just simply can't do it without commitment. So I just don't think it's the right time. And then sometimes they will try to convince me that they're really committed, but like if they're not committed, I really don't want to work with them. An uncommitted client is just hard. I will be more committed to their growth than they will be, and that's frustrating. Then we're going to ask the next magic words, which is, so what do you think? Would you like to work with me? And you're just going to sit there and be quiet. And what will happen at this point is you'll either get a resounding yes and you just go and sign the deal, or you'll get an objection. The objection is their concern. This is the thing that they are, just not sure. What I want you to understand about the objection is it has literally nothing to do with you, your product, or your service. If they say it's just expensive and I can't afford it, do you think that you're the only thing that has ever seemed expensive that they can't afford in their life? No, they say that all the time. That pops up for everything that they want to do. If they say it sounds awesome, but I'm just too busy, I don't have time, is that anything to do with you? No, that literally shows up every time they try to move forward in their life, and it is just the stopping point. And you have them too. I want you to be honest with yourself, not just you, Tammy, but everybody watching. You have them too, where you have these excuses that come up time after time after time. So when we're overcoming the objection, and we do have other videos that will show you and teach you more about overcoming objections, but when you're overcoming the objection, your job is to just get it out of their way so they can go forward and get what they want. So be committed to that process of overcoming the sales objections. Otherwise, you're like leaving them 2 feet from gold. And it's not just your 2 feet from gold, you're leaving them 2 feet from gold. They're so close. They're like the door to what they want is opening, and yet you're letting this one little stumbling block that they trip over it every single time. You're letting it just stay there so they can continue falling over it over and over and over again. Get it out of the way. And now you all know what is the most important part of the sales process. So the next video you're gonna wanna watch is, do I need to use high pressure sales tactics? Some really good content in there. All right, my friends, I'm Amy Walker. Thanks for watching the Sales Doc, where we diagnose your sales woes so that your sales can be sick in the good way.